The recording has begun. This is day 3. Day 3, week 3, interestingly enough, right? Day 3, week 3. You know, I like that ring. Day 3, week 3 of our journey together. And we are continuing in our journey with rules of exponents. But tonight is going to be interesting. And I say interesting because we're going to combine all of the rules of exponents that we've learned. We're going to combine all of them together, and we are going to look at how those rules can work with one another. Right? So that's going to be the interesting portion of this lesson, seeing how the rules work in harmony, seeing how they work one with each other. That's going to be interesting to see that interplay right there. So it promises to be a nice evening, probably not as straightforward as the rest, but hopefully we can have fun looking at the various rules. Now there are 6 rules that I gave you, and we're gonna look over them and then actually apply those rules together. Alright, so let's get the rules. The rules could be easily found on, if you just type in rules of exponents, and you could pick a nice sheet, something that gives us a visual of everything put together. This is a nice one. I like this one. So let me copy this picture, and we're gonna use it here while we work out our problems. And they're gonna be good. The reason why I'm gonna have it here because I want us just to keep it in mind. You know, keep these rules in mind. Remember what we're dealing with. If you hear noise in the background, that is because I am not home alone. And so please bear with me along those lines. What I did not say when I gave the notes is that when we're dealing with these rules, we have to remember or ensure that we understand that A can't be 0 and B can't be 0. All right, so that's very important. A and B are not 0. So for these rules, we can't have B being 0 here because then that means that we'll be divided by a negative, and that's undefined. And we can't have A being 0 here because, well, it just wouldn't work, all right? Because 0 is an interesting number because if we raise 0 to the power of 5, we raise 0 to the power of 6, whatever, it's still 0 because 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 is still 0. So this doesn't work when A is 0. All right, so these rules doesn't work when these rules do not work when A is 0, and they do not work when B is 0. All right, so let's recap the rules, and then once we finish recap the rules, then we can actually start the exercises that involves the rules. So remember the product rule, which tells us that, hey, if I have the same base and I am multiplying by them, and I'm multiplying by, so if I have the same base with the power and a next term with the same base with the power, I can add the powers. If I have the same base and I'm dividing, I can subtract the powers. This one says if I have a power on the inside and I have a power on the outside, I can multiply the powers. This one says if I have 2 terms inside and I have a power on the outside, I can distribute the powers. This one says that if I have 2 terms being divided, I can distribute the powers. This one says, this is a very important one. Some of you may not be familiar with this one, but this one says that anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. All right, so anything raised to the power of 0 is a 1. That's the 0 exponent 1. This one says that if I have a negative on top, so for example, I have negative x, I can write that as 1 divided by a to the x without the negative. And this one we learned yesterday, the fractional exponent, which says that I can take my fractional exponent, the my term at a fractional exponent, and I convert it, to a term that has a radical, an index, and a power. All right, and so that's our rules, the 8 rules, and we'll be looking at cases where we have, say, all of the rules together, or some of the rules together. All right, we're going to be looking at those cases. All right. All right, so let's consider those examples, right? Not examples, but those questions. So take down these exercises. I have this on the side so that you can remember these rules as we apply them and as we work them out. And so let's begin currently. So sorry. Okay, so question number 1. So let's say that, oh, by the way, we're trying to simplify. So we're going to try to simplify as much as possible. So practice. So this is a very important lesson. Again, to see how all of them, all of the rules interact. All right. So practice. Simplify. Simplify the following expression. Simplify the following expressions. So you have to be paying attention carefully, because at any point, at any time, we can use any one of the rules. Okay, so we're not restricted to say rule number 8 or rule number 4 or rule number 3. At any point, at any time, we can apply any rule that we want. All right, so just be careful of that. So let's say, for example, we have, let's say we have 7 to the power of 3. In bracket, close bracket, we're going to raise that to the power of 2. And let's say, for example, we have, say, y to the power of 3 multiplied by y to the power of 4, say, all divided by, sorry, all divided by, let's say we have b to the power of -3, and let's say at the bottom we have 2 to the power of, not 2, but let's say we have 81 to the power of a half. Let's say we have q squared here. Let's say we have q, not q squared, let's say we have q to the 3rd power. Let's say, for example, there we have x squared let's say we have m to the power of 4 times, well, to the power of 2. Let's say we have h to the power of 3. All right, so this is a lot in one question. So I think I can leave it here for this one. I am going to give you 2 minutes to tackle that. So look at it, simplify it as much as you possibly can. I didn't use all of the rules. No, sorry, not h to the power of 3. Please change this. Not h to the power of 3. It's supposed to be h to the power of 0. So please change that. H to the power of 0. All right, good. So I didn't use all the rules, but I used good much. So let's see if we're able to identify the rules. So the timer has begun. You have 2 minutes. Tackle it on your own, please. Remember all of the rules that you have been taught. The product rule, the quotient rule, the power rule, the product rule, power fraction rule, zero exponent, negative exponent, and fraction exponent. So yeah, hopefully you're able to see exactly what's going on. All right, it's almost time. Hopefully you're able to see them. All right, that's time. Good. All right, Albert, can you tell me the answer you got? Albert, can you tell me? Say it again.
I think I'm not done yet.
You're not done? All right. Anyone finished? Want to tell me the answer? Anyone finished?
I don't get it. It's just too much numbers.
Too much numbers and letters. Did you try
Yeah.
any? Did you try any? Want at least try it up? Did you see any
But just
rule?
look at it. Right? Trying to work it out.
All right. Okay. All right. Anyone finished? Wants to share their results? No one done? No one finished? All right. All right, let's try it together. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's start off with that. It's listen, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So you don't have to do the whole thing one time. Do it one step at a time. And so that's how we're gonna be dealing with these questions. One step at a time. All right, so let's begin with the first. Let's begin with this one, right? Can someone tell me what rule I have to use for this one? What rule I should use for this? I have 7 to the third power all raised to the power of 2. What rule should I use?
Power rule.
Power rule, excellent, very good. So if I use the power rule, what would I have?
7, and you have to put 3 on up top.
So that'll be 3 times 2, which is what? 7. This is 3 times 2, so this is going to be 7 to the 6th power, which is like that. Okay, and it's a big number, so we wouldn't expand that, or we wouldn't turn it into a decimal number unless you are in Bgcse and you have a calculator. You could do it, but for us, we just leave it as such. So we have 7 to the 6th power. All right, good. So that's good. That's a good applet. That's something that we could see clearly. All right, now how about these two? So we have y to the 3rd power and then y to the 4th power. What rule can we use for this one?
Product rule.
The product rule. So tell me what we could get. That'll be what?
We just keep the base and add the power. So 3 plus 4 adds y to 7 power.
Very good. So this one is y times y. Sorry, this one is y to the 3rd power times y to the 4th power. And we said that that's the product rule because if we look carefully, the product rule is we have the same base, so a and a. So we could add the powers. So y to the 3rd power times y to the 4th power is going to be y to the, when we add the powers, so 3 plus 4 is 7. Good. Now here we have b to the negative 3 power, right? What could I do with that? Which rule am I trying to use for b to the negative 3 power?
Quotient rule.
Say it again.
The quotient rule.
No, not the quotient rule. I have b to the negative 3 power.
The negative exponent.
Very good, the negative exponent rule. So the negative exponent rule tells me that b to the negative 3 equals what? B to the negative 3 is what? According to this rule, the negative exponent rule.
B over 3.
B over 3? No. Look carefully at it.
3 over B negative or BX.
No.
1b, no,
1, 1, okay.
over b to the power negative 3.
To the power of, not negative 3, we change it to a positive now. B.
To 3.
Good. So that means that I can change this now. And I could put 1 on top, right? Over b to the 3, right? Good. All right. And then I have q to the 3rd power and q. So what is this? Q to the 3rd power over q. So what rule is this one?
That's power of fractional rule.
Quotient rule. I heard someone say it. It's quotient rule. So these are the same base, but I am subtracting them. This is to the power of 1. So if I don't put the number, it's to the power of 1. So that means I have q to the 3rd power divided by q to the power of 1. And so what would my answer be based on the quotient rule? What would my answer be?
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
For 7 and 6, the first one, right?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be 5 instead of 6.
No, okay, good question. Remember for that one, if we look at the power rule, look at the power rule. The power rule says that we multiply the powers, right? We multiply the powers. If one on the inside, one on the outside, we multiply the powers. All right. If we only add the powers, if it's something like y to the third power, y to the fourth power, and they are the same base, we add the powers. But here we only dealing with one base, and we have an exponent on the inside and one on the outside, so we multiply the powers. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay. Is that clear, Altonique? You understand why we multiply them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, q to the third power divided by q to the power of 1. What is that?
Power of fraction rule.
Power of a fraction rule? No. Because I'm dividing. So q to the third power divided by q to the power of 1. What is that?
Fraction opponent.
It is quotient rule. So how do we apply the quotient rule? We have to subtract the powers, right? So it's going to be q to the power of 3 minus 1. It's going to be equal to q to the what? Say what? Q to the what?
0.
3 minus 1 is what?
2. Oh, yeah, 2.
Excellent. So this is going to be q squared. So this is q squared. Good. Now we have 81 and to the power of a half. So what rule can I use for this one? 81 to the power of a half. Hello? What rule can I use for 81 to the power of a half?
Fractional exponent rule.
Very good. Fractional exponent rule. So that's this one. So 81 to the power of a half is going to be what? Sierra. What is that going to be? 81 to the power of a half. Say it again.
I know that could be 81 raised to the power of. Hold on, wait, what?
So I'm trying to figure it out now.
No. Okay, I'm my bad. It's gonna be 2 or squared raised to the power 81 to 1.
Okay, good. So it's going to be the square root of 81 to the power of 1. All right, so we're just going to simply just be the square root of 81. All right, so that means that in here, we have to have the square root of 81. X squared, we can't do nothing with this x squared. I was supposed to put something next to it, but I didn't do that. So keep. We cannot do anything with this x squared, so we just leave it as, sorry, let me push this over. I'm sorry. Alright. Oh my, that's going to be difficult. It's going to be, we keep the x squared, and we have m to the power of 4 with 2 on the top. So what we are going to do with this one? What rule can we use for this one? We have m to the power of 4.
Negative.
We have m to the power of 4 all squared. So what rule can we use for that?
is the negative exponent of
No, we have m to the power of 4.
0 improvement.
No, look at it. With square m to the power of 4 all raised to the power of 2.
That's what power rule.
Power rule, excellent. So with the power rule, it's going to be what? It's going to be equal to, what could we do with the powers?
Okay, let m and I put 8.
Yes, so we can multiply the powers. So that's 4 times 2. So m is going to be equal to 8. So m to the power of 8. Good. Now, what is h to the power of 0?
1.
1. Very good. So that's 1. And then what is, well, q to the power of 1, we already dealt with that right here. So we're almost done. This is almost our answer. Notice that every time we have 1 times anything is itself. So we don't need to put 1 here once we begin to reduce it again. So that means that we're gonna remove the 1. We don't need the 1 anymore because 1 times anything is itself. Because if you look at it, 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3, and so on. So 1 times these numbers, we don't need to put the 1 because it doesn't matter if we pop the 1 out. It's still the same answer. And it doesn't matter if we have the 1 below. It's still the same answer. So we're gonna remove the 1. So 7 to the power of 6, y to the power of 7, and q squared. What is the square root of 81? The square root of 81 is what?
81.
No.
81.
The square root of
9.
9.
very good, 9. The square root of 81 is 9. We keep our x squared, m to the power of 8, and b to the power of 3. And that's our final answer. We won't simplify it further. The only thing we could do is 7 to the power of 6. We could divide it by 9, but we assume that we are not using calculators, so we could use it. We could leave it like this. This would be our final answer. All right. So that is a practice on how we can use or apply not all of the rules, but a lot of the rules together in one question. All right.
Can we have another one?
Yeah, most definitely. We definitely can have another one. Definitely, definitely. Any questions on this?
So even if you don't put the 1 at the, it can still be the same.
Yeah, still the same. So you don't need that. You don't need to put the 1. All right, so let's look at another question. Keep it. All right, so let's do another one. So let's say we have, say, This is another one. This is number 2. So let's say we have 2 to the 3rd power times 4. Let's say we add m to the 5th power times m to the 3rd power. Let's say we add h to the power of -4. Let's say we add p to the power of 4 all over. Let's say we have 64 to the power of a half. So we add r to the 3rd power, t to the 7th power raised to the 3. Let's say we add k to the power of 0 and p to the 2nd power. All right, so try that for me. We're going to give you 2 minutes to do that. And the timer has begun. Applying all the rules, not all the rules, but a lot of the rules of indices that we know. Hello. Good day. Can I speak with Rashan? Oh, okay. Well, that's why she's in the class. All right. I was trying to figure out. No, I just wanted to figure out why she was in class. Okay. All right then. Tell her if she's able. Once even if they sorted out earlier, then she can come. Thank you. All right. We're almost time almost up. So wrap things up on what you're doing. Okay, that's time. All right, so I want Jasmine, can you help me with this term?
I'm finished Rebuttals, but I have some.
Okay, that same term.
The first piece and
Just a small. What you think?
I do. How you do the first one? 3 times 4.
Excellent. And what is 3 times 4?
12.
12.
I put 2 to 12 power.
Excellent. Very good. Next up, we have Albernique. Can you help me with these two?
I got for number I got
For this, what you got?
power of 8.
M to the power of 8. Excellent. M to the power of 8. Sierra, can you tell me what to do with h to the 4th? I can't hear you. I don't know why I can't hear you, Miss Sierra. Try again.
That'd be 1.
1, that's it. H to the power of -4.
That'd be 1 over H4.
Excellent. 1 over h to the power of 4. Good. So that'll be 1 over h to the power of 4. Case C, can you tell me what to do with p to the 4th and p to the 2nd power? KC, what should I do with that?
You give me a minute.
Give you a minute. Okay, no problem. P to the 4th power divided by p to the 2nd power. What did we do last time?
P to the
P to the 2nd power, I heard. That's correct. You say p to the 2nd power, right?
Yes, that is at P to the second.
Good. And we got that because why?
Because I was 2.
Very good. 4 minus 2. Excellent. Albernic, what do we do with 64 to the power of a half?
Already asked so.
I already asked Albernic. For real? Okay. So who I haven't asked yet? Oh,
Ouch.
go ahead. Answer for me. What do we do with 64 to the power of a half?
10.
Say it again.
10.
10. 64 to the power of a half is 10. No, not 10. What do we change it to? We have 64 to the power of a half. What do we change that into?
Square root.
Square root, excellent. The square root of
8. 64.
very good to the power of 1, which is what?
8.
Which is 8. Okay. So this ended up being the 64 to the power. Sorry, 64. Let me make sure I write this correctly, because when we have 2 out front, remember I told you all that if we have the second root, say, that is essentially the square root, and we do not write the 2. All right. Same thing for the 1. If it's 64 to the power of 1, we don't write the 1, because 64 to the power of 1 is still 64. So these two mean the same thing. Again, we do not write the 2 if it's a 2. Any number higher than 2 we write. And 64 to the power of 1, well, we don't worry about the 1 because it's to the power of 1. So that'll just be 64. And so 64 to the power, the square root of 64, someone asked a question. Yes, no problem. The square root of 64 is definitely 8. All right, so that's that. So square root of 64 here. And then the r cubed. What do we do with r cubed? Anyone can answer this one.
Mean R3.
R to the power of 3, yeah. What do we do with that? We just leave it, right? Because we can't do nothing with that. How about t to the 7th power, all raised to the 3rd power? What could we do with that?
7 and 20.
So we're going to be 7 times 3, which is what?
20. 21.
21, yes. 21. So t to the power of 21 And then what do we do with k to the power of 0?
We just will put 1 there.
We just will put 1 there. Excellent. Because k to the power of 0 is 1. And then p squared, well, that's p squared. Okay,
Just
so
leave it.
yeah, we just leave it. So we are left with 2 to the 12th power m to the power of 8 p squared all over the square root of 64 is 8 r to the 3rd power t to the power of 21 h to the power of 4. And then we're done. Did anyone get it? Like the whole thing? No one yet? Okay. So that's how we do it. That's how we apply our rules. And notice that's not all the rules, but a lot of the rules combine, all right, with that particular question. Okay. Now let's do another one, right? Still trying to combine a lot of the rules together. But let's look at something, right? What if we have, say, question number 3? Question number 3, let's see if we can get all the rules in. Okay, so let's say, for example, we have it's number 3. Let's say, for example, we had, say, if we had b over q to the power of x, say, and let's say that we are dividing this whole thing, and well, let's say if we want to be conspicuous, let's say that let's say we multiply it by, let's say that one moment, do not copy exactly what I have because I gotta change mine a little bit. So let's say we have 3 to the power of 5 squared multiplied by b over q to the power of x, say, and let's say that's multiplied by so it's multiplied by 3 to the power of, let's see 3 to the power of, sorry, don't write 3, don't write 3. Let's say it's Alright, so let's say we have, say, 6 to the power of 2 over 3. M to the power of 6 m to the power of 7 b to the power of 9 b to the power of 3 b to the power of 3 next thing is 4 to the power of 3 all squared h to the power of negative 5 q squared q, well, negative 2, negative 3. F to the power of 7, F to the power of, x squared, F to the power of 4, M P to the power of, I shouldn't use M, should not use M, K P to the power of, no. Let's move this. So F P to the power of 5, P to the power of 6, or P to the power of 8. And then multiplied by pi squared P to the third power K squared all over 2000, or all over 72 to the power of 500 and 31. All of that to the power of 0. Okay, so there's our question. Okay, good. So let's tackle that question. Now that one have all of the rules, so hopefully you're able to do it. The timer has begun. We have 3 to the 5th power all squared, b over q all to the power of x multiplied by 6 to the power of 2 over 3, m to the power of 6, m to the power of 7, b to the power of 9, h to the power of negative 5, f to the power of 7, p to the power of 8, 4 to the power of 3, all raised to the power of 2, q to the power of negative 2, q to the power of negative 3, b to the power of 3, x squared, fp all raised to the power of 5, pi squared, p to the 3rd power, k squared divided by 72 to the power of 531 all to the power of 0. This is our question for you. We have less than 1 minute left. All right, that's time. So let's continue. So let's begin. Remember how to eat an elephant. Eat an elephant one bite at a time. And so that's how we're going to tackle this question. So Albert, go ahead.
Only my first. I just only understand the top, like the top row going straight across.
This top row?
Yeah.
All right.
And the first part of 3. That's what I understand.
The first part of this?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. But let's start with the first one, right? So Jasmine, since you spoke, let's do this one. Let's do the first one.
Okay.
What would that be?
3 to the power of 10.
3 to the power of 10. So it's going to be equal to 3 to the power of 10. Excellent. Then Miss Albernic. What would this one
So
be?
that got bx,
B to the power of x. Okay.
b to the power of x, and q to the power of x.
Q to the power of x. Excellent. Good. Multiplied by Albernic. What are we gonna do with this?
M13.
M13? No, we have
Yes.
6 2 over 3. What could we do with 6 2 over 3? We have 6 to the power of 2 over 3.
Oh, that.
We had that.
8.
8? No. We can do what?
Oh.
Altonica Kahana, go ahead.
Never mind.
Never mind. Sierra, what could we do?
So that would be 3
The cube root.
to the power. I mean, the 3 outside, and then it'll be 6 to the power of 2.
6 to the power of 2. Excellent. Good. So that's the cube root of 6 squared. Then Deja, what do we do with m to the 6 and m to the 7? Deja McKenzie. All right, I guess she's not out.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
You keep the base and you just add the powers, so that would be 6 plus 7, that'd be 13. M to the power of 13.
M to the power of 13. Good. Excellent. What do we do with b to the 9 and b to the 3? I'm gonna ask Kaden. Kaden, what do we do with b to the 9 and b to the 3? Kaden Ferguson, what do we do with b to the 9 and b to the 3? Well, I'm not hearing from him, so Casey, what do we do with b to the 9 and b to the 3?
You put a 1 at top.
You sure? B to the 9 and b divided by b to the 3. So I have b to the 9 divided by b to the 3. What could I do with this? That is, let me give you a hint.
3. 9 take away 3.
Very good. 9 take away 3, which is what?
6.
Excellent. B to the 6. So it's b to the 6. Good. And what else we have? I want to change this. I know I should. I know I. You can't change the question in the middle of it. But I don't want B. Let me use a different data that I don't have, because it just will make the question unnecessarily complicated. So I don't want B. Let's use D instead. So that means that this will turn into D. So it'll be D to the power of X. So make sure I make that adjustment. This is D. And I don't want this to be Q, because that'll make us having to do something else that I don't want us to do. So D, C, D, E, F. Let's make this E. So that's E to the Q, E to the X. So make those adjustments for me. So it's E to the X. Okay, good. So what do we do with H to the power of -5? This goes to Albernic, sorry. H to the power.
I have 1 over h power 2.
Very good. So 1 over h to the power of 5. Okay, good. Now, these things we can't bother with yet. Let's go to the bottom. So Albernic. What do we do with 4 to the 3rd power all the way to the 2nd?
Put 4 and then put 6 at top.
Very good. 4 to the 6th power.
No, I don't get my those 3.
And what's her name? Sierra. What do we do with these two? Sierra, what do we do with Q to the
Q. Q to the 5th power.
You sure?
Okay.
Sure, it's Q to the 5th. Because we have -2 plus -3. So you owe someone $2, you owe someone $3. It's gonna be that you still owe 5. So that's Q to the power of -5. So be careful of that. So we're still multiplying. X squared, nothing touches that. We still have f's to the 7 on top, and we still have p to the 8 on top. My question, what do we do with this term, Deja?
Oh, I use power of a product rule for that.
Okay, so it'll be what?
F to the power of 5 and p to the power of 5.
Very good. F to the power of 5 and p to the power of 5. Good. And Jasmine, what do we do with this term here? Jasmine decided. Anyone want to try? What do we do with this term?
Which one are you talking about?
The one I have.
I'm sure about that term.
I'm not sure about that term. Okay. Anyone else want to try? What do we do with this?
1.
Who said that?
Me.
Excellent. It's raised to the power of 0.
Oh, I didn't saw the 0 when you come on.
Yeah. So it's 1. All right. So that's an interesting thing that all of this, funny, it doesn't matter what I put in now, right? Once you see that power of 0, it's 1. So yeah. So this is non-existent. We don't really care about this side. That turned into 1. Okay, so all right, so let's continue with simplifying this. We are almost done with simplifying. So a few more things to deal with. So this is going to be equal to, sorry, this is going to be equal to, we could turn it into all one fraction. So this is going to be 3 to the power of 10 d to the power of x, the cube root of 6 squared, m to the power of 13, b to the power of 6. Now, if we look carefully, you see we have f to the 7th and f to the 5th. What could we reduce that as? What could that turn into?
F to the second.
F to the 2nd power. Very good. And then we have p to the 8 and p to the 5. So what can we reduce that to? P to the 8 and p to the 5. What can we turn that into? They have the same base and we're dividing. So what can we do? Anyone? P to the 8 divided by p to the 5. What could we do with that?
P to the power of 8 and p to the power.
Say it again. What could we do with that?
We could do p to the power of 8 and p to the power of 5.
So what would that be?
The what?
What would that be? Because we're dividing it, so we're gonna have to what? Add or subtract the powers?
Subtract.
Subtract. So it's going to be 8 minus 5, which is p to the third power, all over 4 to the 6, q to the negative 5, h to the 5th, x squared, and that's our answer. It's our final answer. If we were simplifying the constants, we would have combined all our numbers together. So like the 3 to the 10th and this term and the numbers, we'd have combined them together and simplify it. But for these ones, I'm going to leave the numbers as such. And so this is the simplified version of all of that. All right, I know it looked like a lot, but once we do it one step at a time, then hopefully you get to see that, you know, it's not as difficult as it looks. Okay. So imagine if I had to give you this at first, right? And I'd say, you know what, just do it. It certainly would have looked like a lot. But once you have the rules, then you were able to piece by piece maneuver through and understand how to do it. And so that's the power of the rules that we have. So let's do another one. It could take this big expression here that looks big and nasty and hairy and reduce it into something a little bit more manageable. So let's do another one. Number 4. We're only on our 4th one and we're almost done with math. That's how long these questions are. So let's go. Okay, so question number 4. So for question number 4, let's say we have 8 to the power of 2 all raised to the 7th power. And we have, say, h over r all raised to the power of m. It's going to be multiplied by 9 to the power of 2 over 3 k to the power of 5 k to the power of 6 c to the power of 8 n to the power of negative 6 d to the power of 9 f to the power of 7 all over 5 to the power of 7, the third power, g to the power of negative 5, g to the power of negative 8, q to the power of 2, and finally df to the power of 4, all multiplied by pi to the 9th power beta to the power of 3 m to the power of k all over 85 to the power of 921, all raised to the power of 0. Alright, so that's your question. You have 2 minutes and the timer has begun. Okay, that's time. So we're gonna begin with Albernic. Albernic. Let's begin with this term. 8 squared to the power of 7. How do we reduce that? Albernic. 8 squared to the power of 7. No? I know Albernic is always here. Altonic. Can you help her?
Did you ask what the first one was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the first one I got 8 to the power of 14.
8 to the power of 14. Very good. Albernic, can you help me with the second one? The second
What's
one.
that actual question?
Albernic, sorry. I'm so familiar.
I got HM and I put cross line and I put RM.
Very good. Very good. H to the power of M all over R to the power of M. Very good. Multiply that by, we have 9, 2 over 3, Sierra. Can you help me with that?
9 to the second power.
Okay, good. Cube root, 9 to the second power. Deja, what do we do with k to the 5th and k to the 6th?
Pardon?
What do we do with k to the 5th and k to the 6th?
Pardon?
What do we do with k to the 5th and k to the 6th? This part, k to the 5th and k to the 6th, Deja.
I'm sorry, what was it again?
What do we do with k to the 5th and k to the 6th?
Oh, okay, we keep the base and we add the powers. So that'd be k to the power of 11.
K to the power of 11, very good. Looking at this looks like x to the power of 3. So let me change that and make that. This is a multiplication symbol, okay? Alright, so I'm trying to figure out why did I put the C up there. Okay, so C doesn't go with anything, so that'll just stay. So C to the power of 8. Can't do nothing with that. What do we do with n to the power of -6, Jasmine? N to the power of -6.
1 over n to the power of 6.
Very good. 1 over n to the power of 6. Okay, good. Next up is going to be, so we keep d to the 9 and f to the 7. So KC, what do we do with 5 to the 7 all cubed?
Square root.
You sure? We have 5 to the 7.
My bad.
Yeah. So what do we do?
5 and 7 times 3.
Yes, mom.
21.
21. Very good. And then we have g to the power of -5 and g to the power of -8. Bernique, what do we do with that? G to the -5 and g to the -8. All right, Jasmine, go ahead.
I think you gotta add 8 plus 5.
So that'll be g to the power of negative what?
14.
14, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13,
Oh, yes.
8, 9, 10, 13. Yes. All right, good stuff. All right, next thing we could multiply. So that's the multiplication symbol. Q, we can't do nothing with Q. So we leave that as Q squared. But what can we do here? C arrow with df to the power 4.
So that would be d to the power of 4 and f to the power of 4.
Very good. D to the power of 4 and f to the power of 4. Good. And next, can someone tell me what do we do with this term? This one right up. Okay, Jasmine, what do we do?
1.
Very good. So we couldn't fool you this time, right? Good. So all of this is just 1. Okay. So all that turned into 1. That's good. Big help. So let's just focus on this side. So we are left with, it's going to be 8 to the power of 14. All strictly over h to the power of m, the cube root of 9 squared, k to the power of 11. How do you all feel about this topic? Do you like it? Do you think it's hard, difficult, easy?
I catch on now.
You catch on now. Okay, that's good. Anyone else? How do you feel about this topic? Go ahead, Deja. I even started in there. You. I think you was trying to say something, but then I didn't hear that. You said it so quickly.
I was saying I did it before at school, but I never had a jumble up like this.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So it's a little extra challenge. All right. Anyone else? How do you feel about the topic? Do you like it? Is it something that you like, or you like, you know what? I don't like this one. Let's move on to the next one. You know, we didn't simplify these ones. So d to the 9th and d to the 4th, that's going to be 9 minus 4, which is 5. So let's change that. So that's going to be the 5th power, because these ones, 9 and 4, 9 minus 4 is 5. And then 7 minus 4 is 3. So 7 minus 4 is definitely 3. Good. Times 1, we don't worry about that. And so yes, that's us. That's the answer. In a simplified way. And that's us for this particular journey. All right, so that's it. That's us when we apply all of the rules combined, right? All the rules that we know together. When we look at the product rule, the quotient rule, the power rule, the product of a power rule, the power of a fraction rule, the zero exponent rule, the negative exponent rule, and the fraction exponent rule, when we apply all of them together, then we can do things like this. All right. It wouldn't be as hard as this, or as complex as this, typically, right, like the questions that they would typically give you in school wouldn't be as difficult as this. But let me show you how they probably would look like. I saw some online and I was like, you know, these are nice. I wanted to do them, but we're not gonna have enough time to do them. But if you're looking at questions that, let's see if I could find the, oh yeah, this was, sorry, like these. So these are some like these you would find, properties of exponents, simple like these ones. You know, you would be able to do them. These are the more simple ones that you probably might be able to, probably might encounter in class or something like that. Good ones. And then the little more advanced ones would be something like this. But all of these use rules of exponents, all of the ones that we've been looking at. What is this answer? Without even asking no question, what is this? Anyone? Number 13. No one knows? Come on, help me out. What is number 13? The answer for number 13.
I mean, okay, they both raised to a power, and then on the outside 0, so that means their power would be 0, and then that means there'd be equal to 1.
Exactly, it's 1. So everything raised once, whatever, once inside here, and we have to the power of 0, it's a 1. So we ain't gotta worry about that one. The same one too, up top. All of this.
1.
Yeah. And so, all right, so we could do a few of them, especially with these ones. So let's try tackle them. So this one, with this one, we have to use the distributive rule. I hate to use the word distribution because distribution really applies to multiplication. But we basically applying this 4 to both terms. So this would end up being, I mean, there's different ways to do it. Some person might distribute it first. Some people might deal with the parentheses first. There's different ways. If we do it like this, it'll be x to the power of 4 times negative 2, which is negative 8, multiplied by x to the power of 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12. And so it's going to be equal to x to the power of negative 8 and negative 12. That's going to be negative 20. And we know that we could use the negative integer rule or negative exponent rule so that it could be 1 over x to the power of 20. So then there's that. For this one, we can multiply the 4 and the 3, the negative 3, to give us x is going to be equal to 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Multiplied by 2 to the power of x to the 4th. The trick about this one is we're gonna put the 2 out front. Okay, so put the 2 out front and the x to the negative 12 and the x to the 4th power, we put them together. Because it's multiplication, so you can move it around as you please. Now we have negative 12 plus 4. Okay, so that's what we have, negative 12 plus 4. So that's going to be, x is going to be equal to, what is negative 12 plus 4? Well, you could think about it like this. You owe $12, you owe $4. Pay them back the $4 that you owe them. How much you still owe them? Still owe them.
Eight.
Still owe them $8. Yeah. So, but then this one we could simplify some more because they say our answer should only have positive exponents. So this is going to be 2 over x to the power of 8. So that's that. Next we have this one, so number 3. So we have n to the third power all raised to the third power, so that's n to the power of 3 times 3, which is 9, times 2 to the power of negative 1. There's different ways we could do this. The way I would do it, I would bring the 2 out front. And so out of 2, n to the power of 9, multiplied by n to the power of negative 1. And this is going to be equal to 2n to the power of 9. Oh, my apologies. Let's remember that this is 9 plus negative 1. So where's my drawing pad? So this is going to be 9 plus negative 1, which is still is going to be 8. So there's going to be 2n to the power of 8. And then number 4, we have, this is funny, we have 2v squared multiplied by 2v squared. You got to be careful because this 2 applies to the whole 2v. This 2 only applies to the v. And so we're going to take this and apply it to that, take this and apply it to that. So it's going to be equal to 2 squared v squared multiplied by 2 v squared. Now with this,
Okay, should we write this down?
boy, if you haven't started writing, don't worry about it because I'm gonna erase it soon. Then we have the 2. So this is 2 squared, and this is a 2. So we're gonna bring them together. So it's gonna be equal to 2 squared times 2 multiplied by v squared times v squared. So it's going to be equal to 2 squared times 2 is 2 to the third power, and v squared times v squared is v to the fourth. Alright, so that is us there. So those are just some examples of, you know, how to do it using the different rules. And as you become familiar with the different rules, they just become, you know, a matter of habit, a matter of, you know, we just used to it. You don't, you know, it's not, oh, by the way, we can still simplify this because this is going to be equal to, sorry, it's going to be equal to 8. 2 to the third power is 8, so that's 8 v to the 4th. Yeah, and so, yeah, so once we are familiar with it, we could be able to do it easily, more easily. And so just go online and look at, you know, rules of exponents worksheet. Do the worksheet and practice if you need more help with this particular idea. But I think that we've done a good job to give you the basics, the foundation that you could be able to work with, to be able to apply the rules, know the rules are, see it in action. All right. and to be able to know what to do in certain situations. So that's good. So at least you have the foundation for this particular topic. All right, so that's it for math. We're gonna transition over to English language. So let's do that right now. Let me stop sharing. And in English language, I promise to um, I promise to show you how to um, how to rebut. So the principles of how to um, be how to be, what should I say, how to be wise in offering a rebuttal. Okay. Okay, so let me share my screen once again. I don't know if we are able to get, um, into the conclusion of the day. Yes, mom, someone have a question?
If write that.
Say it again?
Write that?
No, you don't write down this essay. It's too much. But just listen to what I'll be explaining and write notes based on what I explain. But take your own personal notes based on what I explained. But as a general rule, I just will be talking about how to offer a rebuttal. I may end up giving notes at the end, but in general, we just going over this particular essay and looking at how to rebuttal. So that's important. So the first part of this essay, so this essay is on the question, should we change our main industry from tourism to farming, right? That was the question. And what I said in this essay, I said, no, we shouldn't change it from tourism to farming because of different reasons, right? That was my, that was my, you would say, that was my argument. We shouldn't change it from tourism to farming because, tourism has helped us financially in the past, present, and future. And farming has great risk and challenges, and farming has not proven to do so well in past years. That was my argument, right? And so it's very important that in your argument you not only state your point, but you also give a rebuttal. So you also state what other persons who read your essay and don't agree with your point, you must address how they think, what they might possibly say against what you have to say, and how you can defend what you say against their criticism, right? So that is a very important part of writing these type of essays. Sometimes they don't tell you to do it, and sometimes they do tell you, but in any event, you must always, once you give in expository writing, a good part of your essay should be on, what other people might think, right? And how can you defend what you say based on what they say? So I said that, tourism, has helped us financially in the past, present, and it will help us in the future. And that was what my paragraph was about. And I provided reasons on why I believe that it helped us in the past, why it's helping us in the future, and why it's helping us in the present, and why it can help us in the future. That was my argument. Now, then I said, you know what, we need to address certain rebuttals. Right now, in a rebuttal, Notice I didn't spend a long time with the rebuttal, right? My rebuttal is just a paragraph. And I don't recommend your rebuttal to be a paragraph because obviously you just don't have enough space for that. Your rebuttal would be inside of your body paragraph, right? But because I had enough, because this is a probably about 6-page essay. So because I had enough space and because our teacher told us to do so, I made a separate, or she suggested it, I made a separate paragraph for my rebuttal. And I want us to read the rebuttal, right? So the first part of the rebuttal, Deja, can you read that first section, please? While admitting.
Okay. While admitting that tourism provides economic benefits to the Bahamas, opponents assert that by relying on tourism, the Bahamas is remaining in its comfort zone, avoiding risk-taking, and therefore will never experience real growth and development.
Good. All right. So anyone want to try and explain that sentence? What am I saying there?
Can you repeat what you said, please?
Can someone explain that sentence? The sentence in yellow.
It's saying that the Bahamas doesn't want to do nothing else for on its own. It just wants to rely on tourism.
So
they don't want to find different means of making money. They just want to rely on tourism since it's the number one industry of the Bahamas.
Yeah, good. You think that's a good accusation? A good what should I say? Do you think that it's a good critique on my point? Do you think that this person raised a good argument in terms of their, what should I say? In terms of the point that they raised? What do you think? While you think, I think it's good that if we could get some notes down. So the notes will be on how to write a rebuttal. So I'm just gonna give you some notes on that, just to have it at least there for your notes. And so today is what, Tuesday. So take these notes down.
It's Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday. Wow. I just is testing you, I just is making sure you're alert. No, I genuinely made a mistake. So thank you for the correction. All right, so Wednesday. Today is, so we're gonna look at language for a bit. So the topic is how to write a rebuttal. How to write a rebuttal. Okay, so for expository, or we'd say for essays, in which your position or you are placed with a question that requires of you to take a position or side. It is important for you not only to fervently and adequately provide, what should I say, provide evidence to support your position, but it is also extremely vital for you to give for you to give an opposing view. Okay, so that's very important. So when you're writing essays that ask you to say pick a side, and you pick your side, you agree or disagree, you must show that you have thought well about the topic enough to provide an opposing view. So you must not only adequately and fervently and strongly show your side, but you must also show the next side, right? So why showing, or why provide an opposing view? So why do you think it's necessary, Sierra, to provide an opposing view in your essay?
Story is always a positive and a negative to something.
Very good. So there's always two sides of a story. I like that. Why else, Deja? Why do you think it's important to provide an opposing view?
To show that you're a person that isn't an extremist, but you look at both sides of the point of view, like that.
Very good.
You're a critical thinker or equal thinker or equal person.
Very good. To show that you as the writer have a balanced mind, right? This establishes ethos, because it helps the reader to gain confidence in you, knowing that you are not biased, right? So then there's that. Why else can we provide an opposing view? So to show that, because there's always two sides of the story, you want to show that you have a balanced mind, establish ethos. Albanique, why do you think it's important to provide an opposing view?
Why it is important to provide an opposing view?
Yeah, in your essay.
Is to strengthen your own argument and to what you have to say.
Excellent, I like that. To strengthen your own argument. I like that. That's a very good one. To strengthen your own argument. And the reason why I might strengthen your own argument is because this is because by showing, or I could say by showing how your argument stands in comparison to or in contrast to another argument, this can show, or this can tell your reader that your argument is more robust than the others because it's able to withstand pressure. It's able to withstand criticism, right? Like someone say, one person, a person always, this is the smartest person. A person always sounds like they are the smartest person in the room as long as they are the only one talking, right? It's an interesting quote. A person always sounds like they're the smartest person in the room as long as they are always, as long as they're the only one talking, right? That's because when no one rebuts you, when no one critiques you, when no one presents another side, it really sounds like your argument is the best one. But but it really isn't because you haven't showed it in contrast to another argument. Why else should we provide an opposing view? Anyone else could think of another reason why it's important to provide an opposing view.
Can you repeat that, please?
Why else you think it's important that we provide an opposing view?
And I mean, maybe on the flip side of strengthening our argument, we could dismantle other people's views. I don't know. That sounds a bit wrong.
I know, right? That sounds cruel. You wanna step on their toes, right? Okay, it's okay, all right, I guess. To dismantle or to show the error in reasoning that is found, or to show errors in reasoning which are found in other points of view, in other persons, in another, or in an opposing view. I like that. So she want to step on people's toes, showing them how wrong they is. Okay, interesting. Why else? Why we might want to provide an opposing view? So to the reader, it helps them to understand that there are different sides of the story. Maybe to, and you know, some of these are redundant, but to provide a comprehensive approach to the argument. So you're trying to be as thorough as you can be to show that you are a critical thinker. All right, that's very important. You show that you're a critical thinker when you are able to provide a an opposing view and defend it. So the key with providing an opposing view is that you not only want to state the opposing view, but you want to defend your point in light of the opposing view. So you don't just want to say, hey, you know, some people think this, and then you don't address it, right? You just say, hey, you know, some people think that this is the way to go, and you say, yeah, that's what they think, but then you never show why they are wrong. Okay? So, all right, so let's look at some things, right? So, I'm sorry. Let's put this one moment. Be coming to bring this back on top again. So, give me one moment. So, let's continue. So, the next thing is, I think we should talk about so how should you approach the rebuttal, we'd say. Now, you approach the rebuttal like a rebuttal. It's not merely presenting the other person's side of you, but you want to defend yours. So the first thing you want to do when you are doing a rebuttal is that you want to state clearly and impartially to the best of your knowledge the opponent's view. Now, when we say impartially, what do we mean? What do we mean by impartially? So you want to state it clearly and impartially. What do we mean? If we look at the synonyms for impartial, we mean fairly, independently, objectively, even-handedly. So what that means is do not exaggerate, make fun of, or misstate the opponent's view. So if the opponent believe that cell phones are a distraction, right? Because they can be used for, websites, to go on websites that they shouldn't be going on. And then you state in your rebuttal that the opponents say that, that opponents say that cell phones are distractions because um, because because there may not be any internet in the facility, right? Your opponent didn't say that. Okay, the opponent said that cell phones are distraction because of the websites that you could go on. So you don't wanna misstate or exaggerate or underestimate, or I should use the word underestimate, but you don't want to skew, that's the word. You don't want to skew what your opponents say. You want to say what they say exactly and clearly, right? You don't want to
You mean like how some people be like, they're trying to be fair in their writing, but they call people who they don't agree with fools.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? Um, so I mean, you can't call them fools unless you show that they are fools, right? I mean, and fools could be warranted, but you have to exactly show it before you say it. And I don't agree. I don't think it's wise to say they're fools, that or automatically is, you're already calling them dumb before you even start. So you don't want to skew, you don't want to paint their view in a light that they have not presented it. I think that's probably the best way of saying it. So you do not want, you should not, you shouldn't, let me put it like that, you shouldn't So I guess we could say you shouldn't or should not present the opponent's view in a way that they have not presented it. Okay, so if they say we believe white is black because of Google glasses, then you must say opponents say they believe that white is black because of Google glasses. You can't say opponents say they believe that white is black because they are dumb, or opponents say they believe that white is black because of the spectrum on the circle, whatever that means. They didn't say that. They say they believe white is black because of Google glasses or Google lenses. So you must state what they say. State it clearly. Don't let it make it seem like you're trying to make fun of them or whatever. No, 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 no. State it clearly and appropriately. All right. So after you state it clearly, to the best of your ability, right, and to the best of your knowledge, right. So you state their argument clearly, right. The next thing you want to do is you want to agree where you can with their statement or position. Okay, so if they say something that you say, you know what, there's part of it that I could agree with, you know what I mean, then agree with that. So don't make it seem like you entirely disagree with them unless you really do, right? But agree where you can. So if they say cell phones can be a distraction because students could, you know, could use it to go on websites, and that's the first thing you say, then you can say, while I agree that this can possibly happen or possibly occur, right? So you agree that, hey, you know what? They do have a point, right? But after you finish agree where you can, of course, you're not going to fully agree, because if you can't agree with them fully and then go on to show that they're saying something that is nonsense. So what you must do, you must agree where you can. Say, you know what? I agree with this in a sense, but here's where I disagree. But if you don't agree with them at all, then then you can't really agree with them at any point, at any level. But they have to be saying something that you could at least agree with, or show some sort of compassion, or at least show some form of, we'd say, compassion. And the reason why I say compassion or sympathy to why you think they might believe it. So show compassion to their ignorance. So you might say, if you don't agree with none that they say, you can say, well, even though, for example, a person might say that they believe that in order to, you know, they believe that in order to reduce crime in the Bahamas, right, we must lock up all of the young men and put them in jail, right? That's their position, right? If we want to reduce crime, we must lock up all of the young men and put them in jail. Now that's absurd, right? That's, why would you lock up all the young men and put them in jail? Well, even though you fully don't agree with that, right? You could say, well, while I don't agree with this statement, I can understand why the person would say that, in a sense that it is true that men are the it is true that more men commit crimes than women. So maybe that's where they got that idea from, right? you could say something like that before you totally annihilate them, right? So give some sympathy or compassion to their point of view, right? That shows that, hey, you don't hate them as a person, you just don't agree with them fully. You might agree with them. If you only agree with them 1%, state, I agree with them to an extent, or there's an extent to which I agree with them, or, their point is warranted to a certain extent, and you could explain why, or, and then, but you don't want to go too deep into it because you don't want to essentially say you agree with them, but agree where you can. All right, that's important.
So you're saying we shouldn't be scathingly harsh and be like, facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. Even though it's true that facts don't care about your feelings, but you wanna demonstrate grace and compassion with you when you're writing. All right, and that helps with ethos too because it shows that you are sincere writer. We talk about that when we talk about ethos and establishing credibility. When you show concern, people tend to take to that, and so that is good. All right, so the next thing, after you finish state clearly that position, you agree with you where you can with that statement. The next thing that you want to do, and you must do this very strong, you must state exactly why their reasoning is wrong. This is the most important part, right? State exactly why their reason is wrong. Don't brush it off. State exactly why their reasoning is wrong and why your approach still stands even in light of their position. Okay. So you want to state exactly where they're going wrong, right? But you also want to show how your position stands better than their position. Okay, that's very important. Finally, you want to bring a sense of closure by reaffirming your position. So you still, at the end of the day, showing, hey, my exposition still stands, and this is what it is, right? So state their position clearly, state their position fairly, agree with them where you can, tell them exactly where they are wrong, exactly. What are going to be the consequences of their misjudgment? And then bring it all in with a sense of closure by saying, hey, you know, this is why my reason is correct. Hey, and it still stands overall. But you want to bring your reasoning and their reasoning side by side. You want to bring these two positions at juxtaposition to one another, side by side, and show why your reason is right. The next thing we're going to talk about is just some general tips on the rebuttal. Okay. The rebuttal should not be extremely long. Okay, so it should not take a whole paragraph. Right? The next thing is you want to You should fully explain your position before entertaining any rebuttals. Okay, so before you start talking about rebuttal this, rebuttal this, rebuttal that, fully explain your position before you tackle any rebuttal. Okay, state your reason. Your topic sentence, provide supporting details. Establish your position as concrete, right? Before you entertain any rebuttal. The second thing is that when you talk about how it should not be long, I should fully explain your position before you entertain any rebuttal. So the rebuttal should not, I already said it should not take the whole paragraph, so that should be clear. Oh. Don't mention every rebuttal you can think of. Choose only one or two, right? Because you can't make it too long, right? Choose one, only one, maybe two, right? Rebuttals. Okay. Don't mention every rebuttal you could think of, right? Choose rebuttals that you could actually defend. So choose rebuttals, or choose not every rebuttal. Don't mention every opposing view, sorry, you can think of. Don't mention every opposing view you can think of. Choose only one, maybe two. Choose the opposing views you actually know how to defend against. Okay, so yeah, so some opposing views you actually don't know how to refute it. And if you don't know how to refute it, just leave it alone. Just be like, you know what? That one I ain't gonna talk about because that one clearly, debunks my argument. So yeah, let me just leave that alone. Don't mention any opposing view that you can't fight against properly. Okay. Choose only or avoid. Yeah, avoid extremely absurd and nonsensical opposing views. So if you're thinking about opposing view that doesn't make no sense, like someone say, I oppose that students should be allowed to use cell phones in school because cell phones are dangerous. They explode in the bathroom. Don't use that opposing view, right? That clearly that person don't know what they're talking about, right? So the chances of a cell phone exploding in the bathroom is so small that it's not even worth talking about. So choose only worthy rebuttals or worthy opposing views. So that's important. Choose only worthy opposing views. When I say worthy opposing views, can anyone help me understand what I mean? What do you think I mean when I say worthy opposing views? Choose only worthy opposing views.
Something that's probable.
Something that's
Yeah.
powerful. Go ahead.
I mean, like something that's probable. Like, yeah, a phone explode. That's a new fan lock, by the way. But a phone exploding maybe 1 in a million, right?
Yeah.
But children using the phone for sinister stuff at school, like, I don't know, cyberbullying or something, that's more likely to happen.
Yes, it's more likely, right? Yeah, so all right, so when I say worthy, you want to choose opponents that are like, for example, it's like going on, it's like playing a basketball game, right? Would you play a basketball? You are, let's say you are 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, right? Would you play basketball, like a real basketball, against, someone who was 5 years old, 6 years old? Would you do that? You are 13, 15, 17. Would you play a real basketball game, competitive, against someone who's 6?
Nah,
No. Why not?
because they can be losing.
Say it again, because they could
They
be
can be losing.
they could be losing, and it's an oh, Altonique, go ahead, Altonique.
Because the 6-year-old have a smaller chance of winning.
Yeah, and more than that, it'll be taking advantage, right? There we no, because it ain't no challenge. Yeah, it ain't no challenge. Like, there's no I like Nathan response, like, it's no challenge, right? It's just like it's like Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. For those who know what I'm talking about, you know, that is that. I mean, they was when he was there. They went to 3 finals. You know, 3 finals. They won 2 of them. That when Kevin Durant was there, because you have Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson. That's unfair, right? I mean, some might say, but it's like there's no real competition, right? It's the same thing when it comes to the opposing views that you find. You want to try find an opposing view that is actually, when someone read that opposing view, they'd be like, wow, I wonder how this person or this writer is going to come out of that, right? It's going to actually sound like a real fight, you know what I mean? And when it's a real fight, then coming out of that, showing how your position is better, is going to be good. For example, if you look at opposing view, my opposing view is very strong. Notice what I said. I said, opponents assert that by relying on tourism, the Bahamas is remaining in its comfort zone, avoiding risk taking, and therefore will never experience real growth and development. So that's a very strong opposing view. Like, that's a legitimate opposing view. Like, if you keep on relying on tourism for the rest of your life, um, that means you stay in your comfort zone. You ain't trying new things, right? You ain't you're not growing, right? That's a legitimate concern, right? And it's gonna be interesting to see how, even me reading this again, I'm like, how did I manage to rebuttal this, right? And so you want to choose something that is a true rebuttal, or a true opposing view. And sometimes when you try to find stuff that are true opposing views, you literally be like, you know what? That one is just too hard. I just can't find an argument against it. Well, then don't include that, because you don't want to choose something that you can't find a rebuttal against. But as much as possible, choose something that is worthy of your time, that is a challenge. So I said, so look at my opposing view and see if you can find the same principles that I said in the notes I give you. I said in highlight, I said, while admitting that tourism provides economic benefits to the Bahamas, opponents assert that by relying on tourism, the Bahamas is remaining in its comfort zone, avoiding risk taking, and therefore will never experience real growth and development. So what is this that I did here? What is this that I did?
You gave common ground between you and the opposers because you said while admitting that tourism provides economic benefits to the Bahamas, opponents assert that means that they agree with you on that point, but they just disagree with you on something else.
Exactly. Excellent. I like that you noticed that, right? I also clearly stated their position, right? I didn't, you know, over exaggerate it. I didn't, cast it out as silly, right? I didn't put no, I didn't sarcastically state it, right? I said it as clearly as I possibly could. I mean, not clearly as I possibly could because, but I stated it in a clear way, in a fair way, right? In a way that if you look at it, it's like, you know what, that's a good point, that's a good point that you raised. So let's see what I did after that. So after I stated there, so while I made it that tourism provides economic benefits to Bahamas, opponents assert that by relying on tourism, the Bahamas dream is in its comfort zone. Good. The next sentence, you could read this one, Sierra. Recognizing.
Okay. Recognizing that it is true and notable gains have been a result of taking a risk, the aforesaid argument is not without merit. However, the opponent,
Sorry.
okay.
All right, good. What did I do here? I said, recognizing that it is true that notable gains have been the result of risk-taking, the aforesaid argument is not without merit. What did I do here? Anyone? Look at your notes. Remember, the first thing I said that we must do is clearly state the opponent's view. Clearly state the opponent's.
Yeah, I mean, you did the same thing you did the first time. You recognized the importance, the importance of the argument, or you recognize where you agree with the argument.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did here. If we look carefully, I said that, I said that we must, when we are doing the rebuttals, we must agree where we can with their position. All right. So if we look carefully, I didn't cast the argument totally aside. I say, listen, if we look carefully, it is true that when persons take a risk, it is true that persons do experience real growth when they take risks. Can someone give me an example of someone taking a risk and the risk being successful? Can you give me an example?
So say, can I do?
Go ahead, Albert.
So say if you invest in a company and you made $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So say you say if you invest money for $10 million and somebody think it's a bad idea, but it actually turns out really good.
Okay, very good. I like that. So, a company, you say you invest in this company, you don't know exactly what's going to happen, so you're taking a risk. You take all the money and you put into this company. You don't know if it's going to work out for sure, say, but you take a risk. And when you take a risk, well, the company end up producing $25 million in profit. So I said, hey, it is true that notable gains have been the result of taking a risk. That is true. You are right. Or the opponent is right. That, hey, there is something to taking a risk, right? Like when you take a risk, it is true that you can have a notable gain. You can have a great gain. So I agree where I can. Okay, so the first thing, I clearly state the opponent's view, and the next thing I do is I agree where I can. Okay, go ahead. Sierra, read the next sentence.
What?
Rationale.
Rationale takes into account the positive aspects of risk taking, but it fails to acknowledge the negative aspects.
Excellent. So I said, however, the opponent's rationale takes into account the positive aspects of risk taking, but it fails to acknowledge the negative aspects. What did I do here? What did I do here? Based on your notes.
You're showing why their point, why you disagree with their point.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah, or where their reasoning falls off, or
Exactly.
I don't know, where there's cracks in their argument.
Exactly. I'm stating where they fall short. Okay? So, that's the same thing we said inside the notes. We said, hey, listen, you must state exactly why their reasoning is wrong or why their reasoning is lacks something, or where it falls short. So, I said exactly where I believe. I state where I agree, but I state, hey, listen, why you only looking at one side? You're saying, hey, and this is interesting, right? Like this rebuttal. It's funny because hey, the person say, hey, yeah, the Bahamas remain in its comfort zone, and it will never experience real growth and development, right? But the opponent doesn't talk about the negative aspects of risk taking. So I'm talking about where it's a state exactly. So state exactly where they fall short. State exactly where they fall short. So that's important. So in this sentence, I'm saying, hey, and to be honest, when I wrote this sentence, I really wrote it so that I could be able to state this rebuttal. So don't think that I just put this sentence and I didn't think about my rebuttal. While I was writing the sentence, I crafted in a way such that I could say, hey, haha, you didn't talk about the positive, you didn't talk about the negative aspects. So that's something you could do. Like, you don't want to present the opponent's view in a way that you can't rebut it, right? So you need to like fix it such that you could actually rebut it, because otherwise, you end up with an opponent's view that you can't rebut. Okay, so be careful about that. All right, then finally, the last sentence. Deja, um can you read the final? Wait one moment. Let me change the color. Let's use say. Let's leave it at this. The truth of the matter. Go ahead.
Um, the truth of the matter is that taking a risk can provide great gains or end in massive loss. Hence, it's a mark of judiciousness for the Bahamian government to remain heavily involved in tourism, a prospering industry.
Excellent. So, what did I do here? right? And those two final sentences, what did I do? I said the truth of the matter is that taking a risk can provide great gains or end in massive loss. Hence, it is a mark of judiciousness for the Bahamian government to remain heavily involved in tourism, a prospering industry. Sierra,
Well,
go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
okay, I said you brought a sense of closure
Uh-huh.
by
Yes.
stating your points in the previous sentences.
Okay, I brought a sense of closure. I like that. So a sense of closure, you feel like I come into the end, right? It just sounds like, okay, yeah, he ended this. But what else did I do besides providing a sense of closure?
You are giving, I don't know, maybe you're showing where the reasoning goes off. Or did we do that in the purple part?
I did that. I did that with
The
the truth of the
purple?
matter. Yeah. I mean, I kind of reiterated it in this part too by saying um, that it has gains or loss. So I still sort of still arguing against their point, showing where their point falls short. So I'd say that this also does it. Um, but what did I do, especially in the last sentence? And I encourage you to do. If you look at the notes, what did we say we should do? Um, we should talk about why our approach still stands in light of their position. So that's important. So notice what I did here. I'm showing them why my approach still stands. Because what I say, it's a very important phrase that I kept inside this essay to show why my point still stands. Remember, my point was about the economic benefits of tourism in the past, present, and potentially in the future. So if you look at my last sentence, I said it makes sense, or it is a mark of judiciousness. That means intelligence, wisdom, for the Bahamas to remain heavily involved in tourism. And this right here, a prospering industry. This reiterates my point from the beginning. I already proved, and that was my whole discussion from the whole paragraph above, that it is a prospering industry. That's what I defended. That's what I argued. And so I reiterated that, or I reaffirmed that in the last sentence. And I had to have something about that in the last sentence because I can't just say, okay, why they are wrong. I must show why my argument about tourism being a prospering industry still stands. That hey, it's a prospering industry. We know it's working. Um, we need to stay heavily involved in it because it's already working. In light of the fact that if we come off of it, we could lose big. You understand? And so I'm still saying, hey, it's a prospering industry. And I reiterating the point again, or reaffirming the point that, hey, the economic benefits, that's why we are staying with it. Okay? So that's my rebuttal. Obviously, your rebuttal um, is not going to be as lengthy as this because you only have a few, um, you know, a few you only have a few moments in your actual essay to actually give a rebuttal. So it shouldn't be the whole paragraph. It shouldn't be too much. It should just be a few sentences. But at least you get an understanding of how to frame a rebuttal. All right. And hopefully you get an idea so hopefully when it's time for you to include a rebuttal in your paragraph, you would
Can
know.
you repeat what you say?
So I'm saying, hopefully you are able, when it's time for you to write a rebuttal in your paragraph, know how to frame it. You state the opponent's view. You agree where you can. You state exactly where the argument falls short, and you give or provide a sense of closure to your essay while affirming your point you made initially. All right? All right, so we are out of time and money. So we're going to end here.
We're out of time and
money.
I had none to begin with.
Say I had none to begin with. That's funny. And I say that jokingly. But yeah, we out of time. And so I'm gonna call it quits. And so I mean technically we still have what 13 minutes more, but I'm gonna let you go. And so I thought this was a nice lesson. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as me. I like analyzing essays and seeing how, you know, you can actually see how it works in an actual essay. So then there's that. So all right, so see you on tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's our final installation of week 3. And I'll see you on tomorrow, God's Spell Life, 6 p.m. Please be on time. A lot of you trickle in 6:10, 6:15. Please don't do that tomorrow. Come on time and make sure to send the class notes as well. Have a wonderful night and take care.